Welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave, and hey, happy Saturday. You made it all the way to Saturday morning. Bitcoin's doing absolutely nothing in the last 24 hours, but you know what? We actually have a few things to talk about with this in action right over here. So as always, wishing you the happiest of happy, the best of the best Saturdays possible ever, and then we'll get into the live scene right over here. Okay, so Bitcoin basically hanging on its lows. Let's go over here to the daily. There we go. Daily having a decent close. You know, typically this would be a doji-ish, hammerish type dildo. It's not on heavy volume or anything like that. But typically does signal indecision, perhaps even reversal, so we can put a nice little horizontal right in over there. And if we do bring up our oscillators right here, because we do have a potential reversal dildo in right here, we could maybe see our first initial daily RSI bullish divergence. Now, with that said, I need to see a couple more things. First things first, I need to see follow through, and relatively quickly. Like today would be good. today would be nice. And in fact, the more time that it kind of hangs around this level, the worse it does look. To be quite serious. But basically, having some continuations above 43.6605 on GDAX over here would look good to me. I want to see it on heavier volume, and then I'd be more confident in looking for a slow grind up over the next couple of weeks, which is still my initial disposition. Yes, the lower time frames do not look good right here. Yes, there's a lot of things that leave a lot to be desired. I mean, if we go down to lower time frames right over here, we basically just made let's go to an hourly first. Yeah, we basically just made a bear flag over yesterday and got rejected right as you got to that resistance that we had basically working on yesterday. And now we're kind of forming an inverted cup and handle. I know a lot of people are looking at this right now. Now the handle's kind of getting a little bit large for my liking, or you could even call it just a bear flag. I don't really care what you call it. The measurement would be about the same anyways, and that'd be taking you down, I believe, to, well, definitely below 4,000, but I believe to about 38. Yeah, about 38.50, and that kind of does sound about right to me. If Bitcoin were to break this area, I'd believe that you would see about a quick wash into this region right here, about 38. Yeah, we'll call it 3,800, and then down to this guy right over here at around 3,600, which is going to be your monthly 55 exponential movement average. Again, we have to go over here to our Bitstamp chart to get this guy and kind of show, get off there, you drawing tools, you damn fuckers, just messing up my whole visual view. But yeah, that's kind of the next area that I'd really be looking forward to if it were to break this area. I still believe, though, that we probably don't have a full-on break of this area. And when I say a full-on break, I mean like a daily dildo closing below about 41.50, at least before tomorrow, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Why do I say that? Well, going over here to the weekly itself, we can see the weekly is actually resting pretty much on this purple 200 exponential movement average right over here, right around 41.80, which is exactly the area that we spoke about over the last couple days, that hey, as long as you're above that area, I kind of do have to be biased towards seeing at least some more sideways here, perhaps a little bit of a bounce. And yes, I do still feel like a slow grind up to about high 4,000s, low 5,000s is certainly still in the cards right here. But the more that it kind of does hang in this area, the worse those odds do get. So there is kind of like a time component on this guy. Is there any like general rule of thumb to go off of? Not really, to be quite serious. Not really, but it needs to happen. In the next couple of weeks, you'd probably want to see it happen. Otherwise, you're just gonna wear out your welcome over here, feeling like things are just kind of drooping back down. But it wouldn't surprise me if we did come back down to test the 41.80 level and then probably bounce off of there. You still do have your bullish divergence on the 3 hour over here, but as you can see, the more that it kind of hangs down around this area, the more it's going to start to create a whole new trend essentially. Again, the 3 hour 21 exponential, this yellow line right over here, getting the highs of this past series very well indeed. If all you had to do is just short that a few times, and you'd be living in a little bit of a gold mine right now, so not bad. 3 hour Stokes over here looking like they're getting a little bit droopy as well, losing momentum, so they will need to pick up relatively soon. So these things would be obviously pointing towards the bear side. I'm just going off of the higher time frames to say, higher time frame speaking, yes, we might have a washout a little bit lower, but it's going to be hard to, very rarely do you see the weekly close below the 200 exponential on the first pass, which again does close 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So we will find out that pretty damn soon. Let's go over here to the 4 hour. 4 hour, again, just rejection, rejection, rejection. Same thing over here. It's, it's going to wear out. If it comes back down below the critical zone, I know a lot of people think that that's oversold. It can't go any lower. No. And if you watched last night's video, it can't go any lower, bro. Can't go. RSI is oversold. Can't go any lower, bro. No. That just means that we're probably going to create another very, very strong trend and down. So again, 4 hour Stokes over here, you kind of just crisscrossing, fucking around in the bearish to neutral zone. Not necessarily the best sign. But, again, higher time frames are the ones that are going to rule the day right here. 12 hour did not have the best close yesterday. Again, we said that the daily kind of, was okay, giving you kind of a doji-ish dildo. But when you go into the 12 hour over here, you see that this was just a pair of doji dildos right here. And typically my sort of rule is that when you get like 2 or 3 of these guys in the row, it creates what in the way that I like to relate it in like a ledge essentially, and typically that leads to continuation of the former trend. It's like indecision, indecision, indecision. Okay, well, we know that we're comfortable already going down, so maybe we'll just go down a little bit further and see if there's any buyers a little bit lower. I know a lot of people are looking at this area right now to be a buyer, and for good reason. There are a lot of things coming around this area. I mean, we can go over right here right now, but again, that's also testament to the fact that a lot of the times when everyone's saying the same thing, perhaps something different happens. But essentially, we have nailed this blue box territory. Again, this area that we've had, we've been talking about this for 8 months now, or whenever I started this channel, and I've probably been talking about it before then, just because I just can't stop talking about it, baby. But a lot of things coming around this area. So we had a mesh move coming off of this guy right over here. This smaller descending triangle that we were working on for the past, let's just draw it in right there, for about what was it, like 4 or 5 months, something like that, coming back all the way over here. Let's see, and whoops, I didn't get the full on top of that, my bad, and there we go, something like that. Yeah, coming right down here, nailing the bottom of this guy right here. Some nice horizontals coming around this area. You see this this kind of diagonal trend line right around here. We have actually based on that area as well. Yes, you do have a wick below, but that's fine. Just need the dildo bodies close above. And then you also got your, well, let's actually just get rid of this because we already fucking have it in there. Jesus Christ, man, it's just so silly. Just need more lines, baby, just more lines. No, that can be misinterpreted very, very fast. Anyways, we got the 786 Fibonacci retracement coming in right over here as well. And I believe if we do put on the volume profile, then it's going to show that, hey, yeah, we do have kind of a relatively thicker volume node going on right here. But hey, after you lose this volume node, which actually does come all the way down to about 3,800, funnily enough, which would be the next measure move off of some of the bearish formations that we're looking at, you actually have another just complete gap going on right here from about 3,800 to about 2,900, 3,000ish area and a few bucks below, which is actually where my next area is, my next blue box territory. Now, here's the thing. I shouldn't say I do strongly believe, but I do believe that we get down to this secondary blue box territory right here between about 3,000 and 2,400 or whatever it be. But I don't think it happens anytime soon. Now, these are opinions. Technical analysis is very clear. To be extremely, extremely deliberate in separating my opinion from technical analysis. Technical analysis says, hey, you got a lot of support right here. Fucking confirm that you're gonna break down before you start talking about shit like this. But hey, my experience would say, over time we likely do get down around here, and it wouldn't really present too much of an issue. I mean, really, again, the issue is presented when you actually start breaking this area down around here, right around 1,200, 1,300. Which, again, not saying that we're gonna get down there, but if we do get down there, you're really gonna want that one to hold from a technical standpoint. If that one breaks, then well, things will get likely a lot worse. But overall, we have been following this diagonal trend line right here. If you know me, you know that I typically don't like diagonal trend lines, but it does interest me that in 2014, a very similar market cycle right over here. Let me just get rid of this guy. There we go. And I'm going to get rid of the volume profile as well. This diagonal trend line that we were originally working off of, actually did provide the support, right here and right here on the way down. And actually, if we do want to, well, now we can just leave it like that. So again, I do kind of want to pay attention to that. Also, we have this dotted trend line coming around at the current price action. That is the 10-year logarithmic trend line of Bitcoin. Never been broken in the history of Bitstamp. So again, a lot of things still coming around this area, and I'm not necessarily convinced that it's broken just yet. I need to see a weekly diddle closing below about 4180, and we'll just call it 4150 to kind of round it out and make it a little bit easier. So again, 4150 needs to be smashed through on a weekly diddle time frame for me to really be saying, okay, looks like we really do want to wash lower before maybe this thing never bounces again. No, of course. Well, I maybe shouldn't say that. Anyways, so when it comes down to it, a lot of things in this area, that would be, the more bearish scenario, obviously, but the more bullish scenario and the more, I guess, happy scenario, which doesn't look as likely right now, to be honest with you. But again, I actually do lean towards it just because, well, I mean, as a trader, I don't want to trade before something actually happens, but as long as 4180 holds, and I'm just gonna get rid of this, just forget about that bear flag right there for 1 second, and as long as this area holds right here, maybe we do pop back down, put in another drive down here, and then pop back up. But overall, there's a lot of resistance on the overhead. This area right here has proven to be pretty damn staunch at around 4350. I do not look at this as a strong resistance, but Bitcoin really struggling alongside this area. We got this area right here. It's actually more like a zone, right, between about 4300 and 4350. So in that whole range right there, it's it's kind of a range for facts, so to say. We got this area right over here, right around 4600, we'll call it. Let's go down to the hourly as well and just really hash these ideas out. Yeah, so we got this area right here. If you can break out of 4350, really don't see much stopping you from around 4600. Technically, yes, you would have some resistance right here, not a strong point right around 4450. So again, I'll just kind of get out of it, but I'm sure that there's going to be someone who's like, Crown, you missed one. It's like, yeah, but it's I wouldn't be making trades off that guy is what I'm trying to say. Then you got this guy right over here. If you can break above 4600, right around 4750, and this is where things get a lot more interesting because currently the high of our bounce is 4750. So if you could actually make a higher high above that, well, that would just be a little bit more confidence inducing and would make me extremely confident that we do make an actual formal stab towards this 5200 level right over here. Now, there's a few things to be aware of on the daily that are happening that we really haven't been covering, and I think a lot of people are not paying attention to shit like this, but it is really fucking important. And shame on me for not covering it. Okay, so let's actually put this guy right in here. 6100 is the area of breakdown in the way that I look at it. We talked about that for ages upon ages. That is, as soon as 6150 breaks, very likely gonna have some pretty hefty downwards price action. That's exactly what happened. Again, not saying that to sound arrogant, but saying that so that we can get to the next point of this, in that, hey, because that was the breakdown point, that is now the area, in my opinion, that as long as we're below there, heavy bearish control. If Bitcoin, that also means that if Bitcoin were able to close some higher level dildos above that area, I would immediately go from bearish to slightly neutral, but mainly bullish, actually, mainly bullish. So hey, if Bitcoin can do that, I'd be very impressed, and I would, just by the nature of it, I'd have to be long. Yes, traps do happen. Yes, all crazy things do happen, but as a trader, got to go with what's in front of me, and until that would be, negated, I would, that's essentially what my disposition would be. Now, on to the next point, because sorry, I'm being very convoluted here, but these are all interrelated. So I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, so this is the daily right here. This is your yellow 21 exponential moving average, and this is your green 55 exponential moving average. They are now below this horizontal right here at around 6100. That area that I'm using to denote, are we bullish or bearish? And that means that we are trending pretty fucking aggressively downside. Obviously, you can see this from the price action, but this is telling me that as these moving averages get lower and lower and lower from 6,000, more and more pressure builds up. And it just means that Bitcoin is very likely to spend a lot of time below this area. In fact, the lower that this 21 exponential moving average gets over here, and this one, the slope is not stopping. The slope is just not fucking stopping. Also, the blue 30 simple moving average, which I do put actually the most weight on for slope analysis, that one ain't fucking stopping either, although it's not aggressive. It's not as aggressive as a 21. Now, these are going to put in another ceiling for Bitcoin. And if we were to go back to the Bitstamp scenario right over here, where we kind of have the higher levels plotted out, you know, if that 21 exponential starts to come down into this area right here and hooks around into like the mid 4,000s, well, we're going to spend a lot of fucking time below, you know, 5,000, you know, a lot of time. And again, this also kind of does line up with the accumulation phases in 2014 where it accumulated between the 786 and the 886. Well, the 786 and the 886 for 2014 would be, you know, essentially below 4,200 all the way down to about 2,300. So be aware of this. Be very, very aware of this. I know a lot of people think that it can't go that low. There's no reason. There is no reason why I can't go that low. And the more time that Bitcoin spends down here, the more that those exponentials catch up. And that's why I'm very concerned right now, because, and that's also why I say, you know, at some point you will wear out your welcome. But hey, for now, you know, typically speaking, when I'd see something like this, let's say, yeah, you probably do have a local bottom in. Again, I will be running with the local bottom, with this being the local bottom, as long as you're closing like 2-hour dildos above this guy right over here, above 4180. But the second that you close it below 4180 on like a 2-hour, 3-hour, 4-hour, you know, 3,800 is the next area that I start looking towards. So I'm still sticking with that. We really haven't seen too much change in the last 24 hours. Just things are now catching up. So you know, the higher time frames start to look more and more bleak if you have like a longer term outlook. Anyways, let's go check out where did CMEs close yesterday. CMEs closed the day at 4,200. So that will be very, very interesting to actually come into. They will be expiring next week, I believe that we have the end of November next week. So they'll be expiring rather soon. Not only that, but CME's closing down around 4,200 does offer up another potential trade idea. You know, similar to what we saw the last couple of weeks when it was closed. You know, when it closes over the weekend. If spot exchanges are trading above this area, 4,200, coming into late Sunday when CME's open once again, well, that actually would make me a little bit more confident that we could have a meaningful bounce around here. Typically, it's going to be a buy on the gap fill for at least a scalp and sometimes a nice bounce. But in this sort of price action, I would not count on that too much. Now, that offers up another very big thing though. If spot exchanges are trading below that guy coming into the open on Sunday, late Sunday, then that's likely going to be a massive sell, and it's likely going to be the impetus for moving a lot lower. So again, a lot of things to be aware of over here. It's, you know, Saturday is typically a quiet day in crypto land. But hey, you know, CMEs over here actually do look like they're ready for a bounce to me, just by looking at the hourly chart over here. I'm sure a lot of people are saying, but Crown, this is a falling wedge. No, well, first off, it's not a falling wedge. It's actually a falling channel. And second, when you see a falling channel coming off of a downtrend, disregard. Fucking disregard. It's not going to be a high probability play. I've seen a lot of these things get just washed out to the downside. In fact, we could go look at an example right over here with good old Prince Cone, Litecoin, which has been just beat up more than just about anything in this market. And I can show you a major one right over here. Just boom, 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 coming off a downtrend, and then pfft. But Charlie, why'd you sell your Litecoins? Well, because it's fucking worthless. No, I shouldn't say that. Jay Snip's going to be very mad about that. 10,000 target end of year, and you even want to know my second target. That's a fucking quote, by the way. That's right. You don't want to know my second target either, man. Single digits. Again, am I saying that Litecoin's going to single digits? No, it's got to go to 13 before that. But after that, $8, $8.25. But again, it's going to depend on what Bitcoin does, right? I mean, Litecoin is this one's maybe one of the worst of the majors. Giving up so much of its. I mean, this is almost just a straight up pump and dump from last year, 1 year ago. Yeah, Buterol does not look, you know, much better either. Don't get me wrong. It's like, you know, you ain't off the fucking hook either, Mr. Buterol. Retracing all this way, but at least, you know, it has a few more supports to deal with before it gets to doubles. but yeah, Mr. Buterol signaling some pretty intense downwards price action as well. Again, you know, putting in the same sort of doji-ish dildo on the daily right here. But look at this, you know, trying to get past this blue box territory and just straight up rejection. So Mr. Buterol has been a pretty damn good look on the market recently, kind of being, you know, in a way a leading indicator, and he does look quite droopy down around here. Let's go to the 12-hour. Yeah, 12-hour, again, closing 2 doji dildos in a row. I mean, Not typically the way that I want to see something roll. So again, for Mr. Buteroll on Finex, again, check your exchange. It will differ. 129.5 is where I need to see this guy get above. Otherwise, not, you're gonna, just like Bitcoin, you're gonna wear out your welcome around this area at some point in time. Weekly on this guy as well, looking just I mean, this is. People are going to call this capitulation, but you typically don't hang on your lows for days, fucking days, during capitulation. No, you typically get about 15 to 30 minutes to buy a capitulation low, and then it's going to bounce up about 10 to 20% from there in the next couple hours. Again, this to me is very indicative that, hey, we have not seen the lows. In fact, you just have your 21 exponential cross on the downside of your 100 exponential. Although there's not too much history on this chart right here. Next support, right around $94. If that area fails, then you got $51 on Finex. So be aware of that. Anyways, let's go check out GBTC. Where did he close last night? Closing down again. Just cannot catch a fucking break on this bitch. Tone Vase is going to be mad about this one. I heard that he's long on this guy. Yep, again, you put in an inverted hammer dildo right here, but we spoke about how when we actually went into the lower time frames like here, and again, this is the difference between someone you just fucking, it's like reading the box score of like a game. And someone who actually watches a game, it's not necessarily looking as hot. Yes, you do have bullish divergence on a lower time frame, but again, coming off of a holiday, you typically don't see things make lower lows, and this one did. I mean, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Yes, you do have another doji dildo in there. Yes, we could just like Bitcoin, as long as you're kind of holding above this area. I think our horizontal is right around, where's our horizontal? Yeah, right here, right around $4.73. As long as you're holding above there, I have to be leaning towards a bounce just because there are a lot of things saying we could very easily bounce. But hey, the second that you break that, well, there ain't really much holding you up from this area right over here, right around about $4, a little under $4. So again, be aware of these things. Longs and shorts both kind of jockeying for positions over here. Longs have actually put up a few thousand coins long, looking like that was probably the rally of late yesterday for me. It was probably like mid-afternoon for you if you were over there in the Western Hemisphere. But basically starting this guy right around 2 a.m. on the 24th. So yeah, 2 a.m. Let's go see what price action was like as we just put up 2,000 longs over there, and 2 a.m. was right over here. So a lot of longs going up right around here with an average price in this range right here, right around about 42.20, 42.50. So if we do move about $50 lower, they will start to feel a little bit of pressure. So again, it's a delicate game. Shorts on the other hand have been being good boys, letting go of their positions. So also that was kind of adding to some upwards price action pressure. Also not necessarily the best sign if shorts are if they're taking profits and price action is really not going too far up. So once again, it's looking a little bit weak. I don't want to put too much weight on these things. I think they become kind of like memes, and people are like, the shorts have never been this high. No, stop it. It's silly. But hey, shorts are doing a relatively decent job of like walking it up and then taking profits, walking it up, taking profits. And this was a little bit of concern for me coming into the other day, but now I look at it and it's like, yeah, this actually is completely reasonable. And they're basically trading, longs and shorts are at parity on Finex, and that's not really taking into account the hedge shorts, which I'm sure that we have plenty of. So let's get over here to what else do we want to talk about? Yeah, SPYs, because Bitcoin has been essentially trading with the traditional markets. We spoke about how SPYs were kind of, really the same thing as Bitcoin. You're going to see a lot of similarities in this chart, right? You have this horizontal right here. You haven't really broken it yet, but you keep on, coming down to it. It's not a good look on it. Yes, you do have a lot of things signaling for a potential at least small bounce. This was not a good close on Friday. Jesus Christ, man. Okay, so I might be taking back what I say really fast. But again, in traditional markets, you get some pretty weird, price action sometimes. And I think it's actually a lot more difficult to read. But still, if you do just have a dollar rally on Monday, that's going to trigger a lot of the divergent spots, and you could very easily have a run up to about 269. But overall, I am very bearish on these markets. Coming into the next into the next couple months, I just don't think. I think like Bitcoin, you probably put in a little bit of sideways, a little bit of up over the next couple of weeks, and then actually start the the big one, so to say. And if you thought last week was the big one, well, you can only go down so far before you hit zero, but hey, you are going to be getting a death cross on the daily Dillo time frame relatively soon. But you know, as with death crosses or crosses in general, typically you will see a test into them as you get the cross. So sometime next week, I'd be imagining that we do get a run up into the 270 area. So that would kind of go alongside my idea that, you know, I still do feel confident that Bitcoin bounces up here. It's just putting in time. It's going to take time, a couple weeks, probably rally this up, give that area test, and then, you know, you're going to likely confirm that the death cross is real. People want to sell, and then red dildo party time. So again, keep your eyes on that as these things have been trading, you know, pretty well in lockstep. Actually, you know, risk on assets essentially. But again, you know, overall, I do think that this thing comes down to about 240 in the coming months. You know, whether it's late December or early January. Just going off the monthly right over here, this is not the most healthy of healthy charts. Again, you know, resting on your 21 as we do get to the late November. You know, it's just more and more pressure, man. So again, needs to I mean, overall, you know, I shouldn't say needs to do anything. You have major bearish divergence on a monthly RSI right here, major bearish divergence on the Stokes over here, rejecting the more critical zone. I think it's very likely that you do make your way down to like the 210s area. But that's again going to take, you know, it's going to take months really, because this is a monthly. Okay, what else we have to talk about? We got Bitcoin, we got Ethereum, we even did Litecoin. Let's go look at Mr. Ripplecone. How you doing, Mr. Ripplecone? Probably not too well. Yeah, again, Mr. Ripplecone on the monthly about to give up the 21, or in fact, I think that he did give up the 21 last month. Yeah, he did. Now, this is versus $1, so I'm sure that a lot of people are saying, but Crown, the Satoshi one's doing really well. Well, yeah, but it's like, do you want to lose your money faster or just a little bit less fast? Because you're losing it either way. And again, we spoke about how once it lost this level right over here at around 48.5 cents, you know, it's time to be really fucking cautious on this guy, and losing this horizontal right here, even retesting it as resistance and then down. And now we're losing this guy right here, testing it as resistance and so far down. Again, you know, technically speaking, you could make the argument that this is just consolidation, although a very ugly consolidation now. It was looking a lot more pretty about a week and a half ago. But hey, if you can hold up above 38.5 cents, you know, okay. But that also means that the second that you break about 38 cents, this thing is likely going for a full retrace down to about 26.5 cents and perhaps even lower, depending upon the overall market feeling. But again, need to see that happen. Overall, I feel the same way about Stellar as well. I think both of them kind of probably coming down. I think that, you know, they have not been acting relatively well recently, especially versus the dollar. Versus Satoshi, yeah, they might trick you a little bit, but versus the dollar, absolutely not. Okay, so back on over here into, man, this is an ugly chart, into the BitMexicos, as I don't even think I brought up BitMexico today, but we covered the inverted cup and handle potential measure move down to about 3,800, I believe it was. Yeah, let's just do this one more time, just confirm something like this, and that would be kind of matching up with your monthly 55, yeah, somewhere down around here. Well, a little bit below, you know, a couple $100 below 4,000. But that's also, again, I don't want to get too damn bearish until 41.50 breaks on like a higher time frame, and I think I'd feel a lot more comfortable saying that. Again, I still do have to actually like lean towards a balance still playing out. We could very easily sweep this area once again, 41.80, and you know, and then pick it up from there. But if that area gets broken, then yes, I completely just change my disposition. I really have no positions going on right now. Speaking of positions, I do have a short that I'm still holding from about 6,300 on my streamer account. And if we do move up a little bit higher above this resistance right here at around 43.50, I will take that position off. And then I also have some options positions still open, which I'm actually in the process of closing right now. Most of them as well. They've done their job, you know. It's like I don't really need an extra $2. Anyways, back on over here. I think that's going to cover it up for today. Again, pay attention to the major levels. You know, Saturday's usually a boring day, but you know what? you never know when people are not watching. Sometimes you will get price action. Again, let's go back over here as this is a little bit of a cleaner chart into the hourly and just kind of go over the major levels. 41.50 or 41.80. You know, as long as you're above there, I still, still got to lean towards, perhaps a bounce happening into like the higher 4,000s, low 5,000s over the next couple of weeks. By the same token, you got resistance at 43.50. I don't look at that as a strong resistance at all, but the fact that we've been stonewalled there a couple times is not fucking good. Above there, things get a little bit more rosy, all the way to about 4,600. Don't see much stopping from there. Although, well, you do have this guy right here. I really should put this guy in. It's disingenuous of me not to include this one. It's all the way around 4,400. Which you do kind of have a couple wicks, just kind of coming back from over here. So it does work. Above there, 4,600. Then above there, 4,750. That's where things actually do start to look interesting, because you'd be making a higher high over your bounce high so far. Everything so far has just been a lower high after lower high after lower high, so not good. Above 4,750, well, yeah, there are a few resistances along the way, like around 4,850, but I'd strongly believe that you'd get to about 5,200 right there, and that's probably going to be a massive sell, tentatively speaking. But of course, I'm looking for some sort of divergence. Something a little bit extra to denote, okay, I think we've hit a high and it's time to pile them back on. So again, that's going to do it for this morning. Hope everyone's having a beautiful Saturday morning out there in cryptocurrency land. The best Saturday morning possible, watching, I don't know, cartoons and fucking drinking coffee and I don't know what else. You're probably out partying right now, which is what I should be doing. But I've been watching Magic Internet Money, so it's very exciting. As you can see, the paint drying all day long. Anyways, that's going to do it for this morning. Hope everyone's doing well, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.